Hello everyone and welcome. Today I have a simple and elegant Christmas card I want to share with you that was made with the Forever Fern. Let me see if I can get it in the camera. Oh, there's the Forever Fern. Forever Fern, excuse me, stamp set, which we've had this stamp set around for about a year and a half, almost 2 years now. I'm guessing that it probably won't be carried over into the 2023 catalog because it's been around for 2 years and that's about the limit. But I love this stamp set and dies, and so I wanted to do a card with it. So again, this is the card, and it's simple because I'm just stamping it right onto the paper. And the only thing I die cut was the sentiment label. And I got that from the Leaves of Holly stamp set and dies. And the sentiment is from this stamp set as well. So I'm going to flip the camera and show you what it looks like and how we're going to put it together. And I think you're going to agree that it comes together pretty quickly, and yet it looks really, really elegant. So let me flip the camera. There we go. All right, so here is another view of the card, and I embossed it with the Time Worn embossing folder. Let me bring that in. So this is the Time Worn embossing folder, which it gives it a vintage look, which I really liked. I used also some of the gold holly leaves that are in the holiday catalog. And these are almost, it feels like fabric. They're not adhesive back. You have to put some glue on the back. But they feel a little bit like fabric, and there's some larger ones and some smaller ones. So I put a few of those on there. And then I used some gold trim, which is from the Simply Elegant trim in the annual, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the annual catalog. Just a short length of it. You won't need a lot. And the other thing that I did when I die cut the sentiment label and stamped it, I then went around the edges with a Cherry Cobbler Stamp and Blend, just to make it stand out a little bit. And then as far as the holly berries are concerned, I have a little trick I want to show you for that. But the Leaves of Holly have some holly berries images in them. I did use some, but what I didn't care for, at least for this project, was that you have to stamp them in, like, you know, they're a grouping of like 5, but I didn't want that. I wanted to stamp them individually, one at a time. So as you can see, the way I have mine is clustered in groupings of 3. And I have a simple trick that I want to show you. And when we get to that part, I'll show you, and you're going to love it. And it's, you know, it's so easy to do. So let me just get into what the supplies you're going to need. So I used I used Very Vanilla cardstock as my base. And then I used Cherry Cobbler for the layers. So I've got this, you know, so there's the Very Vanilla. Then I have the, oh, I got to cut another piece of the Very Vanilla because I need a second one for the inside. So I have the Cherry Cobbler, and then I have another layer of the Very Vanilla on the top, which I stamped, and then I embossed it. So I stamped first and then I embossed. So for the inside, I didn't want to put a piece of Cherry Cobbler, a piece of Very Vanilla on top of the Very Vanilla. I wanted to stand out, so I put a piece of the Cherry Cobbler and then a piece of the Very Vanilla on top of that for the inside. And then I just have a strip of Very Vanilla for the sentiment. Now, I will include all the supplies, and the measurements will be over on my blog, and I'll put a link to my blog down below, and I will have a link for the supplies down below as well, but all the measurements will be on my blog, and you can go over there and get that. So let me get a piece of my Very Vanilla just set up for when I need to cut it at the end. All right. All right, let's get started. So I already have my card base pre-cut. I'm just going to fold it. And, you know, sometimes I find, I don't know if you have it, if you find this, sometimes my paper trimmer, when I score it, doesn't seem to, even though I'm scoring it at 4 1/4, doesn't seem to get it exactly centered. So I have to like reposition it. Okay. And then we can, okay, when the time comes, then I will tack that down. And I'll get some glue out for that. But I'm going to set that aside for now because what I want to focus on is the stamping part of it. I'm going to put that part right here. So I've already mounted one of the images, and the image that I'm going to use for this card is this one right here. Now, this one is another favorite of mine. They're all actually really nice, and this is a what they call a distinctive stamp, meaning that when you stamp it, you get variations in color with just the ink pad. Without having to do any two-step stamping, and that's what I love about the distinctive stamp. So I just chose this particular stamp because it seemed to go kind of, you know, with Christmas more than the ferns. So that's the one that I'm going to use. And I'm using Evening Evergreen ink. All right, let me set that aside. I don't want to get ink on the wrong thing. All right, so what we're going to do is stamp it from the side. So here's how we're going to go. I'll make sure I got that nice and inked up, which I do. And you can already, maybe, depends, see how the variation color on the stamp is already there. So I'm going to stamp kind of at an angle up. And I'm going to put the stem kind of off the paper. Okay, and then I'm going to ink up again. All right. Set that aside. And now I'm going to go over it, but facing it kind of down. Now, without re-inking, this is sort of like stamping off, right? Without re-inking, I'm going to do a lighter image right across the middle. Like that. So you get just a nice lighter image across that. All right, so let me clean my stamp. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. All right, so now this is where we're going to do some holly berry stamping. And what I was thinking when I wanted to do the holly berries is I just wanted something that would give me a round image. So I just got a pack of pencils at the dollar store that have brand new erasers, so they're not worn down or anything. They're perfect circles. and you just tap the eraser into your cherry cobbler ink pad. And I'm just going to put some holly berries kind of randomly around on my image. And I'm going to do them in threes the way I did for my other card. Look how nice they come out. You can pretty much put them anywhere. I like this, the fact that this is such a simple and inexpensive solution. And that way, you can just put your holly berries kind of wherever you want. Now, I'm going to put the sentiment right across the center, so I don't need to, I'm not going to do any, holly berries there. I don't need to. You could. There's no reason why you couldn't. If you want to put your sentiment label somewhere else, you can add some additional holly berries. So I'm going to leave it at that, but isn't that a cute idea? Just use your pencil eraser. All right, now is when I can bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Hopefully I can do this in a way that is, oh, you know what I think I'll do since I'm going to have that? I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment, since I'm going to use the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine anyway. Might as well do the embossing and then the die cutting of the sentiment label at the same time. So this is just Christmas Wishes from the Leaves of Holly stamp set. Okay, there we go. All right, we won't need that until we get to the inside. All right, let's put this aside. Bring in my embossing folder. Grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And, oh, you know what? I gotta run in the other room and get my my embossing plate. Hold on. Didn't mean to make you wait. Sorry about that. I should have had that prepared. All right, so this, all right, now we'll just put it into the embossing folder. So we have the #1 plate, and then we put, when it's a 3D embossing folder, just put your paper into the embossing folder, and then you put your plate #4. And your embossed image. That's as simple as it gets. All right, so we're okay with that. And then we have the, oh, I gotta put my plates back. And we have the plate #1 for die cutting, plate #2, plate #3, and my image. Oops, no, it's over here. I have my dies over here. I'm going to use this die right here. And there we have that. Okay. And then we put our second plate number, let me move that out a little bit, second plate number 3. Okay. And there's our die cut piece. Okay. That's all we need the die cutting machine for. We're all set with that. All right, I'm gonna move the rest of this stuff out of my way. All right, now we can begin to do a little bit of assembly. So I'm going to put the cherry cobbler layer. Oops, I want to do it on camera. Now we can put this layer on. So each one of these layers is actually just 1/4 of an inch smaller than the one before. So the card base is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. But then the cherry cobbler layer is cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And then the top layer of Very Vanilla is cut at 5 inches by 3 3/4. All right. This is where you will cut, oops, just a small length of the gold trim. Let me see. I just want to measure it. See how long I cut it. It is cut. This one is cut at 9 inches. Okay. And I'm not going to make a bow out of it. I am going to just I'm going to fold it as if I'm making a bow, but I'm not going to tie it because I tried that. And the bow, the knot in the middle made it too bulky. So what I'm going to do is just do it like, I'm just going to fold it as if I'm making the bow. Okay, this is and then I'm going to just put a piece of tear and tape across the center of it just to hold it in place. And it won't matter because you won't see it because I'm going to have the sentiment label over it. So I'm just going to place it kind of in the middle and just put a piece of tear and tape across it, right? Just to hold it in place. And you can take the top piece off. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. Take the top piece off. And then for the sentiment label, I'm going to put some dimensionals on it to pop it up because I want to put those holly leaves underneath and just tuck them underneath. Okay. And then I'm just going to put it right over the center of the gold trim. Let's get some of the holly leaves. And I think what I might do is I might use some of the Stampin' Seal Plus for this instead of liquid glue because it kind of makes a mess. And so I'm getting my silicone craft sheet, and that way when I put, you know, it, which is impervious to any kind of adhesive, it just, when you get glue on it, it just cleans up. Let's see if I can get that on there. Yeah, I did. And just fold up the pieces. Actually, no one's going to see the bottom anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right, and then you can just kind of begin tucking them in kind of wherever you want them, right? I had it upside down. No wonder it wasn't sticking. There we go, that's the right side. Okay, what I liked about this card when I was coming up with the design was that it was an easy card to put together, and yet I really, really liked the fact that it looked kind of elegant. Okay. And I think I'll just put like one more piece, kind of going off in that direction. There. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Let me see if I can peel it up. No, I'm going to leave it there. All right, what I didn't do that I did on my original one, and I used the Stamp and Blend, the Cherry Cobbler Stamp and Blend, and went all around the edges of it. So I forgot to do that on this one. But that's all right. It still looks great. I'm going to put the cover on these. I don't need the Stamp and Seal anymore. Okay. Now I'm going to put we'll do the inside, and that's Cherry Cobbler layer on the inside, just to give it a little bit pop of color on the inside. Okay. All right. Now I just need to get my paper trimmer and cut myself a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 inch for the inside. And 4 inches. That's all I need that for. And now we can do the inside stamping. And I put, let's see, what did I put on there? So that says, oh yeah, so it's the same stamp set. From our home to yours. Let me see, it says from our home to yours. And my cherry, we grab my Cherry Cobbler again. You know, one of the things that I noticed with the photopolymer stamps is that when you put ink on it, it doesn't always look like there's very much ink or enough ink on it at all, but yet there is. So if you put the ink on it, you can test it out on your craft paper, and then you'll find that it actually does have, you know, enough ink on it. Let's see. Let me get my Evening Evergreen ink, and we will stamp. See how on this one I stamped the leaf on the inside, so I'm going to do the same thing, but I want to put part of it off the paper So like that. Gives it a little bit of a pop of design, and it kind of ties in the image on the inside with the image on the front. All right, so I'm just going to put some glue on the back. Oops. I kind of miscalculated the size of the paper, didn't I? That's all right. So the inside paper really should have been measured at 5 by 4 3/4, but I measured it wrong. So I'll have the correct measurements. Now I'm using a little glue eraser because I got glue on the edge. This is just a little glue eraser that you can buy at the dollar store. They're so awesome. So you get a little liquid glue or a little, on the edges or wherever on your project, use this little gum eraser and it gets it off. So it's perfect. So I hope you like the project. I think it comes together really nice. It's a great kind of vintage looking card, and I really appreciate the fact that you were able to join me today for another tutorial, and I hope you will join me next time. I appreciate you. Thank you, and bye for now.